They retreat before fire.
We've got to try something.
Flame guns! To the control complex on the double!
He's gone.
Imagine standing before a massive spiral, a swirling vortex of light and shadow stretching endlessly into the distance. Picture H.G. Wells' time machine crossed with the Cold War's deepest anxieties, where scientific progress becomes both salvation and curse.
What's happening to him?
He's in a radiation freeze.
This was The Time Tunnel, a series that transformed a simple question. What if we could travel through time into television's most ambitious weekly spectacle? When Irwin Allen, television's undisputed master of disaster, conceived this underground labyrinth beneath the Arizona desert, he wasn't just creating another science fiction show. He was crafting what would become the template for every time travel series that followed, from Quantum Leap to Doctor Who's modern incarnation. The Time Tunnel dared to suggest that America's technological supremacy could conquer not just space, but the very fabric of time itself.
Hello. Hello, Enterprise.
The year 1966 found America at a crossroads. Vietnam War protests filled the streets, the space race consumed national attention, and a generation questioned everything their parents had built. Into this turbulent moment stepped Project Tik Tok, a $7.5 billion government initiative hidden beneath the desert, where scientists had achieved the impossible. A tunnel through time that could transport human beings to any moment in history.
Try, Jigs! Keep trying!
Yet what began as humanity's greatest triumph quickly became its most dangerous gamble. When Dr. Tony Newman and Dr. Doug Phillips found themselves lost in the endless corridors of time, their story became a metaphor for America itself. Brilliant, ambitious, but perhaps rushing too quickly toward a future it wasn't prepared to handle. This wasn't just entertainment, it was prophecy. In an era when we're developing AZURDKI systems that could reshape reality, when we debate whether technology is advancing faster than our wisdom to control it, the Time Tunnel's central warning feels hauntingly relevant. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. As that iconic spiral begins its hypnotic rotation, we're not just witnessing the beginning of a television series, but the birth of a concept that would challenge how we think about time, history, and humanity's place in both. Welcome to the Time Tunnel, where every episode asks not just where we've been, but whether we're ready for where we're going. The moment audiences first witnessed that mesmerizing spiral tunnel rotating endlessly into infinity, they were experiencing television's most ambitious visual effect of 1966. Irwin Allen didn't just create a set, he engineered a technological marvel that would define science fiction television for decades to come. The tunnel itself was a masterpiece of practical engineering, a massive 20-foot diameter spiral constructed from lightweight aluminum and translucent materials, costing over $100,000 to build. When illuminated and filmed through rotating cameras, it created the illusion of infinite depth that no amount of 1960s optical trickery could achieve. This wasn't just impressive for its era, it remains visually striking today, a testament to Allen's understanding that great science fiction requires believable impossibility. Beyond the iconic tunnel, the underground Project Tik Tok complex represented a quantum leap in television production design. The control room, with its wall of monitors and banks of blinking computers, established the visual language for every high-tech facility that followed. Each episode demanded extraordinary attention to historical detail as the production team recreated everything from Titanic's grand staircase to the Alamo's crumbling walls.
We got it.
Perhaps most remarkably, Allen achieved all this on a television budget of approximately $250,000 per episode, astronomical for 1966, yet modest compared to today's standards. The series proved that ambitious science fiction could work on television, establishing technical benchmarks that influenced everything from Star Trek's transporter effects to modern CGI time travel sequences. When Dr. Tony Newman and Dr. Doug Phillips first tumbled through time, they weren't just two scientists caught in an accident. They were television's first true time travel partnership, establishing a dynamic that every subsequent series would attempt to recreate. James Darren brought an earnest vulnerability to Tony Newman that made him the perfect everyman for audiences navigating the turbulent 1960s. His Tony was the optimistic scientist, believing technology could solve humanity's problems, yet constantly confronted with history's harsh realities. Darren's performance grounded the series' fantastic premise in genuine human emotion, particularly in moments when Tony faced moral dilemmas about changing historical events. Robert Colbert's Doug Phillips provided the perfect counterbalance, the skeptical pragmatist whose wariness about their situation reflected audiences' own anxieties about unchecked scientific progress. The chemistry between Darren and Colbert created television's first buddy dynamic in science fiction.
Now all we need is something that is one.
Influencing everything from Quantum Leap's Sam and Al to modern time travel partnerships. Back in the control room, Lee Merriweather shattered 1960s television conventions as Doctor. Anne McGregor, one of the few female scientists in a position of real authority on television. Her McGregor wasn't just the obligatory female presence, she was the emotional anchor who fought tirelessly to bring Tony and Doug home, representing both scientific competence and human compassion. Whit Bissell's General Kirk embodied the series' central tension between military authority and scientific ethics, while John Zaremba's Doctor. Raymond Swain served as the voice of reason amid weekly chaos. Together, they created television's first fully realized time travel ensemble. The thunderous crack of musket fire at Gettysburg, the desperate screams echoing through Titanic's corridors, the tension-filled moments before Pearl Harbor's attack. The time tunnel transformed American living rooms into front-row seats for history's most pivotal moments. This wasn't just entertainment. It was television's most ambitious attempt to make history viscerally real for audiences. Each week, Tony and Doug found themselves thrust into meticulously researched historical events, from the French Revolution's bloody chaos to the Alamo's final stand. The series pioneered what would become known as living history television, where fictional characters experienced actual events alongside historical figures. When Doug witnessed Lincoln's assassination, or Tony found himself aboard the doomed Titanic, viewers weren't just watching drama. They were experiencing history through human eyes. The show's commitment to historical accuracy was remarkable for 1960s television. Allen's production team consulted historians, studied period photographs, and recreated everything from Civil War uniforms to medieval castle architecture with painstaking detail. Guest stars portraying historical figures, from Napoleon to Sitting Bull, weren't mere cameos, but carefully crafted performances that brought textbook names to life. Yet beneath this educational mission lay deeper Cold War anxieties. Episodes frequently explored themes of individual responsibility versus historical inevitability, asking whether one person could change the course of events. When Tony and Doug repeatedly failed to prevent historical tragedies, the series subtly questioned America's ability to shape global events through intervention, a remarkably prescient theme as Vietnam War protests intensified. The time tunnel proved that television could educate while entertaining, establishing a template for historical programming that continues influencing everything from documentaries to prestige dramas. When the Time Tunnel premiered on September 9th, 1966, ABC executives believed they had television's next great science fiction phenomenon. The series launched with unprecedented fanfare, boasting the largest standing sets in television history and special effects that dwarfed anything audiences had seen on the small screen. Initial ratings seemed to justify this confidence, as viewers flocked to witness Irwin Allen's latest spectacle. Yet beneath the surface, trouble was brewing. Critics found themselves divided between admiration for the series' ambitious scope and frustration with its episodic limitations. The New York Times praised the remarkable visual effects, while questioning whether the show's historical gimmick could sustain viewer interest beyond initial novelty. Variety noted the series' educational potential, but worried that its lecture hall approach might alienate action-seeking audiences. The show's greatest challenge proved to be its own premise. Unlike Allen's previous successes, the time tunnel trapped its protagonists in an endless cycle where resolution was impossible. Tony and Doug could never return home, creating viewer frustration as story arcs remained perpetually unresolved. Network executives grew increasingly concerned about the series' inability to evolve beyond its central concept. Competition intensified the pressure. Facing off against established hits and newer series with more flexible formats, the time tunnel struggled to maintain its audience despite respectable ratings. By mid-season, ABC executives were already questioning the show's future, citing production costs that far exceeded typical television budgets. The final blow came in February 1967, when ABC announced the series' cancellation after just 30 episodes, leaving fans with an unresolved cliffhanger that would haunt the show's legacy for decades. The swirling tunnel that mesmerized audiences each week nearly didn't exist at all. Irwin Allen's original concept called for a simple doorway through time, but cinematographer Winton Hoke convinced him that television needed something truly spectacular. The resulting 20-foot spiral became the most expensive single prop in television history, requiring a team of 6 operators to coordinate its rotation with camera movements during each filming session. James Darren and Robert Colbert's on-screen chemistry wasn't accidental. Both actors had worked together previously and genuinely enjoyed each other's company, often improvising dialogue that made their time-lost partnership feel authentic. However, the demanding production schedule took its toll. Episodes required the actors to master everything from Civil War drill formations to medieval sword fighting, often learning new skills between takes while wearing period costumes that frequently weighed over 30 pounds. Lee Meriwether faced unique challenges as the series' lone female scientist. Network executives initially wanted her character to be more traditionally feminine, but Meriwether fought for Dr. McGregor to wear practical lab coats and speak with scientific authority, rather than serving merely as romantic interest. Her insistence on technical accuracy led to several script rewrites when she caught historical errors during rehearsals. The series' historical recreations created logistical nightmares for Allen's production team. The Titanic episodes alone required constructing a 400-foot ship replica on the studio backlot, complete with functional smokestacks and tilting mechanisms. When budget constraints threatened the ambitious Pearl Harbor sequence, Allen personally invested $50,000 of his own money to ensure the attack scenes met his perfectionist standards. Perhaps most remarkably, the entire underground complex was built on Stage 3 at 20th Century Fox, where it remained standing for decades, occasionally appearing in other productions long after the time tunnel's cancellation. The moment Sam Beckett first leaped through time in Quantum Leap, viewers witnessed the time tunnel's most direct descendant. Creator Donald Bellisario openly acknowledged drawing inspiration from Allen's pioneering series, particularly the concept of protagonists trapped in time, unable to control their destination while observers in the present desperately tried to guide them home. The DNA of Tony and Doug's predicament flows directly through Sam's weekly adventures across decades. Doctor Who's modern revival owes an equally significant debt to the time tunnel's approach to historical storytelling. The series established the template for dropping contemporary characters into pivotal historical moments, from ancient Rome to World War II, using time travel as a vehicle for both education and drama. When the 10th Doctor walks through Pompeii's streets or witnesses the Titanic's final hours, he's following pathways the time tunnel carved through television's landscape. The CW's Legends of Tomorrow represents perhaps the most direct spiritual successor, featuring a team of time travelers attempting to prevent historical catastrophes while struggling with the consequences of temporal interference. The show's blend of historical adventure and ensemble dynamics directly echoes the time tunnel's formula, updated for contemporary audiences with bigger budgets and modern sensibilities. Even beyond time travel series, the time tunnel's influence permeates science fiction television. The underground facility with its wall of monitors and frantic scientists became the visual template for everything from Stargate Command to the TARDIS console room. The concept of characters trapped in extraordinary circumstances while support teams monitor their progress influenced shows ranging from Lost to Stranger Things. Modern relevance and conclusion. As we stand in our own era of unprecedented technological advancement, the time tunnel's central warning resonates with haunting clarity. When Dr. Tony Newman and Dr. Doug Phillips first tumbled through that swirling vortex, they embodied humanity's eternal struggle with the unintended consequences of our greatest achievements. Today, as we develop artificial intelligence systems that could reshape reality itself, the series' cautionary tale about technology outpacing wisdom feels less like science fiction and more like prophecy. The show's exploration of temporal paradoxes and historical inevitability speaks directly to our current debates about intervention and responsibility. Just as Tony and Doug repeatedly failed to prevent historical tragedies, we grapple with questions about our ability to shape global events through technological intervention. Can we change climate change's trajectory? Should we edit human genes? The time tunnel's philosophy that some events resist alteration offers sobering perspective on humanity's limitations despite our growing power. In the end, that spinning tunnel serves as more than entertainment. It's a mirror reflecting our eternal dance between ambition and wisdom, progress and consequence, past and future.